All right, hi everyone, and welcome to another Career Talk session by Grad Australia. So my name's Emily, and I'm going to be the host for today. So I'd like to begin today's session with an acknowledgement of country. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect the meaning of place, and by doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we do our business today. We acknowledge the elders, past and present, of all the lands we work and live on, and their ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. And we extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders peoples here today. So I'm joining the call from Brisbane, which is the traditional land of the Turrbal people. So for those of you who are new here, this is one of our Career Talk sessions that we hold on a weekly basis. And if you don't know what Grad Australia is, it's a graduate career site where you can explore and get to know graduate employers. You get a backstage pass to see what it's like working in a role in their organization, apply for programs that suit you, as well as like custom job opportunities, all that kind of stuff. So make sure you go visit gradaustralia.com.au and set up your account. That way you'll get notified about open job opportunities, as well as, exclusive events like this. So today's session is super exciting. So it's about empowering women, your future career in tech. And we have two guests joining us today from the FDM group. So we have Nina, who is a junior account manager at the FDM group. And then we also have Selena, who is a graduate recruitment lead at the FDM group. So first of all, I want to just introduce today's session. So basically, we have a bunch of topics that we're going to cover. We also have a Q&A at the end. So if you guys have any questions throughout, just make sure to pop your questions in the comments and we'll get to them at the end of today's webinar. So I just want to pass it over to Nina and let you guys introduce yourself.
Awesome. So my name's Nina. I'm one of the account managers at FDM, and my journey has been a little different. So I graduated from university at Macquarie University, and I did a Bachelor of Security Studies and a Bachelor of Arts. And upon completing that, I actually got into FDM, the grad program myself. And instead of actually going out on site, like one of our consultants, I actually got offered a role internally. So in this sort of role that I'm in now, I get to put on lots of different hats, sort of working in like project management, building dashboards for our clients, and also sort of helping our consultants get placed in their dream roles. And now I'll introduce Selena.
Great, thanks for that, Nina. Hi everyone, my name is Celina Gonzales and I'm the Graduate Recruitment Lead at FDM. So by way of introduction, I actually finished my degree in psychology. This was back in 2018. I was actually volunteering for our university careers department, and that's really where I found my passion and interest in helping graduates like yourselves launch their careers. And I wanted to future-proof my career as well, so I decided to join the tech industry, and FDM had a great opportunity to work internally within the graduate recruitment space. So I've been with FDM for almost 3 years now. I'm currently the graduate recruitment team lead, where I help identify graduates who are the right fit for different business and technical pathways.
Awesome. I'll just go on to the agenda now.
Awesome. And just let me know what slide you guys would want me to change it to as well, if the slide isn't working for you.
Yes. Could we go to slide 3, please? Yeah, so just the agenda for today. So today we're going to be talking about the importance of women in tech roles, opportunities and key roles that are available in tech, and also tips for standing out in the recruitment process. And on to the next slide. So what is the percentage of women in tech? I'm going to put this over to you guys. Please put your guess in the comments. Do you think it's A, B, C? What do you think? So the latest Women in Tech statistics actually reveal that the percentage of overall female representation in tech jobs sits firmly at 26.7%. And on to the next slide. So right from an early age, the perception of tech as an industry has been subject to gender biases. So if you think about it, if nearly half of consumers are women, Shouldn't it be common knowledge, common sense to sort of have around half of the product, designing, manufacturing, and engineering, and the whole process done also by women? You would think so, but this is unfortunately not the case. Despite national conversations about gender diversity in tech, women are still underrepresented. So, why is gender diversity critical? Gender diversity is critical in tech as it enables companies to create better and safer products that take everyone into consideration and not just one section of society. It also helps foster a positive work environment where workers feel respected, welcomed, and motivated to achieve the best results. We want technology to advance in a way that caters to all consumers, regardless of their gender and race and every other sort of part of diversity. And this is an element in the workplace that is proven to promote innovation, whilst also fostering the growth of tech products that cater to everyone's experience. Women in the tech industry offer a different process of thinking and new perspectives, which is really important if we are to reduce the prevalence of gender bias and underrepresentation of female consumers in the industry. So if women use technology frequently, why is the majority of technology being designed exclusively by men? Not having a voice at the table deters products that cater to female consumers and deeply affects user experience as a result. It is evident that through numerous studies, diverse companies not only perform better, but they hire better talent, they have more engaged employees, and they often stay longer with the company. Despite this, women widely are unrepresented in IT roles. And the reason why we need females in tech is that the world needs to be designed by and for the people who are using it. So what's in it for you? Feel free to put in the comments, what do you think are the advantages of being a woman working in tech? Now have a think. I'm happy for you to just take your time and let me know if you have any ideas. So one of the first advantages, I would say, of being a woman in tech is female leadership and workplace diversity, who are not just beneficial for the business, but it's also inspiring for the youth and girls who work in the tech field. So think about when you were in school. Did you see any sort of representation of women in tech? Did you have any involvement with that? Because for me, I personally didn't see any sort of representation in that. And as a result, I feel like I was sort of closed off to potential doors and ways for a career. So building a world where children see representation in the tech industry is critical, as it fights against the social construct that women don't fit into the career of technology. Another advantage is the lack of representation for women can hinder a woman's ability to be successful in the industry. It puts not only limits on their opportunities for mentorship, but also sponsorship and, again, having someone to look up to in the company and knowing like where you could go in your career path. Another advantage is it can lead to fostering unconscious gender bias in a company culture, leaving many women without a clear path forward. So by including more women in leadership roles, junior talent can seek out role models they aspire to be like. This means that more women equal more leaders who everyone can look up to, connect to, and learn from. Furthermore, having a career in tech means that you can be at the forefront of technological change across tons of different opportunities and roles. Finally, in tech roles, women are able to be creative, innovative, and have a say in providing new insights and problem-solving solutions to male-dominated industries. So as technology constantly evolves, you will be continuously learning new things and have the opportunity to make a difference in the world. So what roles are out there for you? You may not know. There's an abundance of different roles ranging from technical to not very technical. And I've listed some of these on the screen for you. So FDM caters towards and often fills some of these roles that I put on the screen. And we work across different industries. So for example, some of the big 4 consulting firms, insurance, and also the top banks in the financial industry. So across all of our clients, we are seeing them work towards closing the gender gap, which is really exciting. And companies are seeking to really close this. And I think we can make this happen by providing that stepping stone and leading you and other women into their career in tech. So you might be thinking, maybe what role is right for me? I think if I could give any advice here, it would be to really take note of what I put on the screen and do your research about these roles, whether that's having a quick Google, whether that's looking on Seek or LinkedIn, and finding out a basic understanding of what the job really is and what it involves, what your day would sort of look like, and what skills are really in demand. So a lot of the skills needed for these roles are actually cross-functional. So overall, they're useful to have across a variety of roles. And some of the fundamental technical skills that I've seen demand for lately are advanced Excel, SQL, and Python. So I think if you're looking into and wanting to upskill, this would be a really great place to start. And there are many ways you can get started. For example, you could look at LinkedIn Learning. You could look at YouTube tutorials. Because technology is becoming so much larger than it ever was, there's many avenues that you can look down for this. Additionally, FDM in our training actually offers modules of learning for various technical skills, and each sort of program has different modules that we cover. And Selena will go into this a bit later on. So what is the FDM experience, and what does it involve, and what does it mean for you guys? So throughout your training, you will spend each week learning and advancing different skills, both technical and soft, as both are very important. So for example, one week might be focused on Excel, another week might be SQL, another week might be professional skills, so working on your interviewing and your presentation skills and things like that. And I think all of these places are very, very important for your sort of whole and your skills. So if you would like more information on maybe the breakdowns of each stream and what the modules they include, please connect and reach out to Selena and others in the recruitment team who would be happy to explain. So upon starting with FDM, you'll begin your industry recognized training and qualifications, varying sort of between 7 to 15 weeks, depending on the stream that you're in. Our streams, again, are split into two divisions, the business focused and the more technical. So for business, we have the business analysis and project management stream, and also the risk regulation and compliance stream. In the more technical streams, we have sort of business intelligence, technical analysis, cloud computer engineering, data engineering, and software development. And all of these lead to various different roles, such as the ones I showed previously on the screen. So throughout your training, your account managers, like myself, will reach out to you and be able to sort of put you forward for roles that not only match your skills and your profile, but also your interests and what you want to go forward for. And from here, if you are selected, you may have one or you could have two placements during this time, but you'll be placed out on site with one of our clients. And this is sort of a 2-year agreement. And at the end of that, you will be obviously having a great advantage to have big brands on your CV and just that professional experience. And at the end of the 2 years, there's sort of 3 options that you can pursue. So the first is you can follow your own career path. You could leave the company and do your own thing. And you can do the roles that you're really passionate about. The second is you can transition into being a permanent employee with the client that you were placed with. Or 3, you could become an FDM senior consultant where you continue to work with our clients. I really want to note here that FDM encourages people from all academic backgrounds to apply. And even if they're not technical, just like myself, I did the business analysis and project support stream, and I came from a Bachelor of Arts background. So this isn't only a one-case scenario. This happens with a lot of consultants that we've placed. We've had many FDMers go through our grad program from diverse backgrounds, and they have excelled in their roles on site with our clients. These consultants came from various degrees such as marketing, philosophy, medical science, and like myself, arts degrees. And this really just shows that you don't need to come from a technical background to succeed. It's really all about your attitude. So now that I've sort of gone through the basics, I'm going to pass it over to Selena, who will now take you through the recruitment side of things and how you can stand out and get a career in tech.
Great, thanks, Nina. So as she's mentioned, the demand for tech talent is really at its high. Across the globe, we're starting to see a digital skills gap in the workplace, which means that more modern businesses, a lot of businesses rely on technology to do so much. And this in turn creates a lot of opportunities for graduates like yourself to work in this space. So even if you don't specialize in tech, you will need to work within tech in almost any graduate role that you secure. So that being said, coming into the workplace with the right mindset, coupled with the base technical skill set, is what I believe will set you up for the best start to your career. So going about the mindsets that are in demand within the tech industry, flashing your screen are some of those that best describe what this space is looking for. So starting off first with driven performer, it's really important that working in the tech space, you're someone who is a results-oriented individual. So someone who's able to go above and beyond in a task. We're also looking for strong problem solvers. So if being stuck in a problem is something that excites you, then working in the tech space could be the right fit for you. So working in different technical projects means that you do need to put on your logical resolving skills in order to achieve the best outcome. Another important mindset to have is being an opportunity seeker. So there's lots of opportunities to work in tech. It's just important that you are proactive. So you don't just wait for an opportunity to be handed over to you, but what we're looking for are graduates who are really hungry and really into that drive to pick up new technologies as well as they come. Which links to another mindset, which is being curious. So again, there's lots of new technologies coming in a daily as well, working in the tech space. So it's really important that you've got that right mindset, who is naturally curious as well, to pick up all these new technologies that we come across on a daily. Another mindset that is quite important to have, which is being adaptable and showing grit. So I do believe this goes hand in hand. So when you are faced with a difficult situation, which is quite common in tech, there's lots of different changes that you will be facing on a daily. It's really important that you have the mindset where you just come into work, really get stuck on the problem, and really work on continuously learning and developing in your careers. And then lastly, it's just the importance of being a good relationship builder. So contrary to popular belief, working in tech doesn't actually mean working in isolation. You would collaborate with a lot of different departments across the business. And so it's really important that you're able to really build that strong relationships across your peers in different areas of the business. Now, moving on to the more harder technical skills, if you don't know where to start, these are some of the base skills that would really set you up for a successful tech career. So starting off with project management, this is important across all industries and not just in tech. So if you haven't come across these methodologies, I would really suggest for you to have a read up on, let's say, Agile, Scrum, Kanban, and Waterfall. There's lots of different resources online. You could start off by just doing a quick Google search, or even just getting stuck on a project management module on YouTube. Another base skill set to have working or breaking into the tech space would be programming. So this is probably the most intimidating for graduates, especially for those who don't come from a technical background. But then again, you don't need formal education as well to break into the tech space. So a good one to start with would actually be Python. It reads like English, and again, even if you just go on YouTube, do a quick crash course in Python, that could be a good start to yourself. Might be quite hard to wrap your head around it at first, but yeah, just continuously setting aside maybe like 30 minutes of your day just to really learn the essentials of Python could help you kickstart your development and your learning within the programming space. And then lastly is data analytics. So this is what I'm starting to see is quite big in the tech space. So data is everywhere, and businesses who manage and use data accurately really have that competitive advantage. So it's a really good idea to just have a good understanding of some basic database management applications. So as Nina mentioned earlier, even just having a look at SQL or the basics or the fundamentals of Excel. I've actually done the SQL and the Excel course through the FDM training, and I also don't come from a technical background. So if I can pick it up myself, surely anyone can. Great. So if I could leave you with one thing, again, it's really the right mindset coupled with the right aptitude or that base technical skills, which would really lead to a successful career path in the tech space. And again, if you're a woman in tech, you will contribute to aiming to bridge that digital skills gap, as well as that gender gap as well in the tech space. Now, moving on to quite a different direction, you're now starting to think about how can I start applying to that tech role? How can I stand out? Well, I'm here to share my experience as an early careers recruiter on how you can shine in person and on paper. But before I start, I do have a question that I'd like to throw to the audience. How long do you think a recruiter takes on average to read a CV? So feel free to type your answers in the comment section. All right, I'll give it a few more seconds. Okay, cool. Well, you will be surprised to know that on industry average, it actually just takes 6 seconds for an industry recruiter to review a CV. So that's not really long enough for, I guess, for a recruiter to really review your entire CV, especially if you have multiple pages as well on your resume. So that being said, it's really important that you really stand out within the first 6 seconds that a recruiter reviews your CV. This is really the make or break on whether a recruiter would decide to progress you onto the next stage or not. So here at FDM, we decide whether we would like to pre-screen someone based on their resume skills and how well it is tailored to a graduate program. If there's a quote that I can leave you, you only ever have one opportunity to create a first impression. So it's really important that you have a standout CV applying to different technical roles. Now moving on to my CV tips for you. The first tip that I would have is to really tailor your CV to the job description. Make sure that you really understand what skills the company or the role is looking for, and then match that with your experience. So a lot of companies these days, they do use artificial intelligence within their ATS. So make sure that you really pick up those keywords, especially technical keywords as well, and incorporate them in your CV. I would recommend to actually have a section on the top of your CV or even on the right column of your CV as well, just to highlight all these hard technical skills to make you notice. So for example, if you're applying for a software development program, make sure that you have those base skill sets in, let's say, Java, HTML, or CSS. If you're looking to start a career in more on the business side, the business intelligence or the data side of things, I would suggest for you to, if you have these experience and if you've worked on these technologies before, listing down your hard technical skills in, let's say, ETL, SQL, Tableau, or Power BI. And again, make sure that you include this at the very topmost, because this is what will really make your CV stand out. And these are the things that technical recruiters would often look for. Another tip that I would have is to include relevant interests. So for example, I've actually had a candidate who I've taken through the recruitment process myself, and on his interest, he did list down board games, mainly chess. So you would think that this is quite irrelevant to a role in tech, but what I'm seeing as a technical recruiter is that this person is somehow strategic and have really good analytical skills backing them up as well. And it gives me a good kind of talking point to relate to the candidate as well. Another tip that I would have is to include relevant uni projects, part-time jobs, volunteering, courses that you've done on the side. You may think this isn't experience, but again, if you are a graduate, we don't expect you to have, let's say, 2, 5, 6+ years of industry experience. What we really look for is just that proactiveness you've shown at university. It's really all about the potential and the trainability component, especially here at FDM, that we really look to assess for when we take graduates through the process. Another CV tip that I would have is to quantify your achievements and use impact words. So use big words such as if you've delivered a project, if you've pioneered a specific project as well for an internship that you've made, if you've managed multiple projects, if you've created or built websites, just quantifying those achievements as well by providing results. So for example, if you've achieved a high distinction in a specific project, if you've overachieved your targets, make sure that you're able to quantify those achievements that you've done throughout your university or throughout your volunteering or your work experiences. And then make sure again that your CV is clear to the reader. As I've mentioned at the start, it only takes 6 seconds for a recruiter to review your CV and decide whether they would want to spend more time with the candidate as well. So make sure that you place quality over quantity in your CVs. And then last but not the least is to demonstrate your passion in technology. So again, passion needs to translate into experience in some way. So again, make sure that you showcase all your university projects. If you actually have a portfolio of the technical projects that you've worked on, such as having a GitHub with links to your personal projects, I would highly recommend for you to include that link at the very top or the very beginning of your resume as well. Now, you've done all the hard work putting up your CV. You've been invited for an interview, which is great. Now you may be wondering, where do I start? How do I best prepare? Well, the first tip that I would give you is to really practice and prepare. Failure to prepare is actually preparing to failure, as they say. So if you if your recruiter or the person taking you through the process has given you tips, definitely take that on board. Do your research about the company, know the role quite well. Have a look at some example technical questions online. We live in a digital world where you can easily just Google technical interview questions or behavioral questions as well. And as silly as it may sound, you might even want to record yourself and just see how you deliver your responses, or better yet, have a friend or a family member actually give you feedback on how you deliver your answers. Another tip that I would have is to really develop a connection with the interviewer. Try as much as you can to build a rapport. So even if it's things such as bonding over sports, food, or travel, this really allows you to showcase your personality. And especially if you're at the final stage of the interview process, you've done a couple of technical aptitude tests or technical interviews. Usually towards the end, recruiters are just really keen to assess as well whether you are a good fit for the team or a good fit for the company. So really just let your authenticity and your natural self shine through. And again, that's by developing a connection with the interviewer as natural as possible. And then, as I've mentioned, research the company and the role quite well. So for example, if you're applying for FDM, a good place to start with doing your research into our company would be having a look at some of our values and seeing if that aligns well with what your core values are, having a look at into the social media pages of the companies that you're applying for. Are there new initiatives, new projects that you could speak about in your interviews as well? This just demonstrates that you have that keen interest to join that company and yeah, be part of the family of the companies that you are applying for. Try to stay calm and take a deep breath. I know easier said than done, but my tip would actually be just really taking a moment to collect your thoughts and structuring them well. So if you would like to give yourself 5 seconds before you deliver an answer, that's actually the best way. In that way, you could buy yourself a bit of time to collect your thoughts and again, avoid rambling and waffling as well. Approaching all the interview questions. A good tip that I would that I could give you as well would be to have it maybe a glass of water right next to you and just take a sip of water before you give your answer to the interviewer as well, because that does buy you a bit of time to deliver your answers in a logical and a structured way. Another tip that I could give around interviews is structuring your answers quite well, using the STAR method. So I'm sure you've heard this from multiple career talks. You've heard this from your careers department, career coaches as well. But it's really important that approaching the interviews, you always have examples to give, because examples are really what will make you stand out, as these are unique to yourselves. So when you do give an example, structure it in a way that it follows the STAR method. That means talking about the situation, the task, the action, and the result that you got out of that project or that example or experience of yours. And again, if you do just approach the interviews in quite a general way, it lessens the wow factor that the recruiter would have in terms of assessing your fit for the role. And again, it's really important that you back yourself up with really unique examples as well, and back up your general answers with claims as well. That would really make you stand out as well compared to other candidates. And then lastly is to follow up after the interview. It's okay to chase and make sure that you ask smart questions as well towards the end of the interview, as this would really allow you to know more about the company. And again, interviews are a two-way conversation. As much as it's about the company knowing more about yourself, it's also your opportunity to know more about the company. So make sure that you leave the interview asking really smart questions and following up as well. So what can you do now? Well, again, as Nina and I have mentioned, we live in a digital age wherein you could easily go onto YouTube, sign up for that LinkedIn course, sign up on different upskilling technical courses as well. So make sure that you use this as a foundation when you are wanting to break into the tech space. You could also sign up for the APAC Tech Week. So as you can see on your screen, we've got the QR code. We've got a jam-packed week coming up of different introductions to different technical areas. We've got a session on Intro to Cloud. We've got a session talking about the importance of big data, business intelligence. And then also we have a session on more of the soft skills side of things, such as presenting yourself like a pro. So if this session was quite insightful and you've learned a thing or two from Nina and myself, definitely sign up to our upcoming APAC Tech Week. And then also you could apply for the FDM graduate program as well if you liked what the journey of the FDM experience that Nina's mentioned earlier. Great. So I just want to end this session by letting you guys know that the QR code is there. So if you're keen to apply for the FDM graduate program, feel free to connect with Nina or myself or a member of our recruitment team. But then you also have the QR code there as well that links you directly to our application page. But yeah, thanks so much for joining, everyone. I'll hand it back to Emily.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for the presentation. I felt like I learned a bunch too, so that was really awesome. What I'll do, we'll leave this up for a little bit. Now's the moment to screenshot, but just remember, if you don't get a screenshot it, you can always head to Grad Australia and check out FDM, because we'll put this video up on there as well. So the next section is going to be Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. Otherwise, we'll just get started on some of our questions. Okay, so I think I'll take off the slide now. I'll just remove that. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay, let's head into our first question. I love the Q&A section of these webinars because I feel like you just get so much authentic value, which is really fun, and it's just really awesome. Okay, so first question. I think we slightly touched on it, but what is it like as a woman in tech? So I'd love to go to Selena first for this one.
Yep. So as a woman in tech, it's actually really fulfilling to know that you're part of that revolution when it comes to bridging that gap or bridging that gender gap that Nina's mentioned earlier. There's lots of benefits as well working in tech as a female. I think one thing is more of the flexibility that you get out of it, the continuous sort of development and support that they give you. So just from my experience, actually, I don't have any tech background. And I think especially with FDM, they saw the potential in me as well. So they really focused on my professional growth and that development. And that's something that you'll continuously get working in the tech space. Because as I've said, it's really quite an ever-changing industry. There's so much to learn and so much to sort of develop in your career. Which is what I would say is kind of like the highlight of working in tech and being a female in this sector as well.
Awesome. And I'll head to Nina for this question. So, Nina, my question to you is, what advice do you have for women who are wanting to start a career in tech?
Yeah, good question. I think very much echoing like what Selena and I have mentioned, but it's just about pushing yourself and putting yourself out there. So if you think, oh, I don't really come from a technical background, or similar to me, I didn't. And if you just put yourself out there and just think, no, I can do this, that's really all that matters, because it just comes down to your attitude and sort of what you're willing to do. So really, just looking at starting out, learning some code, could be even looking at SQL and advanced SQL, and also Excel too. I think that is the best way to start. Do your research on LinkedIn, read the job opportunities and the job lists that are out there, and get to know like all the opportunities that you can go into. I feel like it's just not known by so many people, and you don't know like your potential until you really get started.
Awesome. And I think another question I had, which kind of touches on what you guys mentioned before, about how there's a bunch of different roles. You know, there's technical and there's like non-technical roles in tech. So would love to maybe dive a bit more into more examples of like the non-technical careers in tech. So what are the different kinds of non-technical careers in tech? And we'll go to Selena for this.
Yep. So the tech space is quite, I guess, a really big industry. If you think about it, you could be more of on the creative side. So you could be doing a bit of, let's say, UX or UI. If you're someone like myself who comes from like a HR background or a psychology background, you could even consider starting a career as a technology recruiter. That's more of the less hard technical roles out there. There's so much more as well. So, for example, Nina, she works as an account manager, but working within the tech space. So there's different areas where you can complement your interest in tech, but at the same time, your own professional sort of background as well. So there's lots out there. Really, just going on LinkedIn, even just typing technology roles, technology opportunities, you'll be amazed by the amount of different non-technical and technical roles that you could, start your career in.
Yeah, and just echoing as well, like on what Selena said, I would say some more examples, because I came from more of the non-technical stream. You could go into Scrum Master roles, project manager, project support officer. There's just so many, and product owner even too. This is all sort of very much a part of the framework that they follow in software development. So Agile and Scrum and things like that, which you can easily get certified in. I got my Scrum certification, and I'm not very technical, but as Selena said as well, I did the SQL modules in FDM and I was still able to pick it up. So.
That's really interesting. And I'd love to ask, Nina, whether you thought the certifications that you did were necessary. Looking back, is that something that you felt you needed to get a role in tech?
Do you mean the certifications, like the Scrum Master one, or do you mean my university?
Oh, your Scrum Master.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I was just interested in it and I wanted to further my learning. And also, if there was a potential to sort of go into that role, then I would be equipped for it. But it's definitely useful for me, I find, because I do a lot of stakeholder management with our clients. And if I know the concepts and the terminology that they're talking about, then I can really understand what they're talking about and what they're looking for. So for me, I could have definitely researched myself, but the certification just proved beneficial.
Do either of you have any because I guess one thing that's quite popular amongst people looking to start their careers, and we've seen it a lot, is people who haven't come from a technical background who are wanting to transition into tech. So I'd love to know if you have any tips or suggestions, like you said with the LinkedIn thing, like looking at people's jobs, any tips or suggestions on how they can get an idea of what kind of roles are out there, kind of figure out what suits them as well. Because I can imagine, going into different industry can be very daunting and very overwhelming. So one of the things you said, Selena, was LinkedIn. Was there anything else, any other recommendations maybe that you've seen other people do that you think is a really good way to learn about new roles, or meet people in those roles too?
Yeah, so I think one thing, especially if you're still at university, make the most out of it. So get yourself involved out there. There's lots of different student societies. So for example, if you're interested in knowing a career in software development, I'm sure your university would have a computer science society that you can just join, get yourself involved in, really speak to individuals who are really interested in that space. Again, networking is really important coming into the industry. So even attending career talks such as this, you'll pick up, hopefully you've picked up a few things around starting a career in tech. But yeah, just getting yourself involved in the industry that you're wanting to know more about. So starting from student societies, even having a look at different professional associations as well, looking at different events coming up within that space. So it's more about just really being proactive. And yeah, you guys, or most of you would still be at university. So really make the most out of it. That would be one of the biggest advice that I would give, especially one of my regrets would be not being too involved at university. So yeah, I mean, whilst you're at university, make the most of all the university faculty events, all the networking and all the clubs and societies that you can join in.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good advice. It's definitely something I wish I had done more of, going to all the university events, attending things like this as well. So for anyone watching, you're on a good path. Okay, let's talk about the pros and cons of working in tech. I think we sort of touched on it a little bit before, but would love to just address it again. So what are the pros and cons of working in tech compared to other industries? And I'll go to Nina for this one.
Yep. I think obviously there's many pros as well as some of them sort of are cons too. So you'll be at the forefront of technological change. You'll be continuously learning new things, always sort of advancing and excelling your skills and knowledge and sort of following whatever pathway you choose. The pros are that you have to constantly learn and you have to constantly keep up to date with everything that's happening in the industry and sort of keeping up to date on IT news and LinkedIn and knowing what competitors and companies are up to.
And Nina, Selena, did you have anything to add to that? I think the pros and cons is a really big subject, so feel free to add anything.
I guess the pros of working in the tech space is you'll really be future-proofing your career. So there's lots of different tech, as Nina's mentioned, that we come across on a daily. So you could, for example, specialize in or be a subject matter expert in a particular topic, but then or in a particular tech space. But then 2 years or 5 years later, there could be another technology as well that you could upskill yourself in. So it's just that continuous growth, that career progression within the tech space is, I guess, a really huge or a really big pro. In breaking into the tech sector. In terms of cons, I would say sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. especially if you're trying to break into the industry coming from a non-tech background. But again, it's all about just your commitment to search for the right answers, really commit to that continuous learning and development. So again, the natural curiosity and the mindsets that you bring at the end of the day, which will really help you overcome this main cons of the tech space being quite a high pressured, I guess, environment at times.
Yeah. Overall, just very fast paced, I would say. But yeah, I think for me personally, the pros outweigh the cons.
Awesome. Yeah, I think definitely with tech, it's such an exciting industry. It's no doubt going to be around in the future. So it's definitely, the big industry to get into. Okay, so I actually do have another question for you as well, Selena, which is just around career progression. So would love to talk about what kind of career progression can graduates expect. And I know this definitely varies between roles, but if you have a general overview or even can speak from personal experience, it would be awesome to hear.
Yeah, so I can speak more about what FDM has to offer when it comes to career progression. So with our graduate programs at FDM, again, we are quite degree agnostic. So we don't just necessarily look for graduates who come from a STEM background. So in terms of career progression, if you are successful in a graduate program, for example, we'll train you from the ground up. So we'll train you with base skills, for example, SQL, Excel, even professional soft skills, and then moving into more of the more technical, harder technical skills, such as learning a bit of business intelligence or software development. So the training is there as part of the graduate program. But even, for example, once you start out on client sites, obviously, you would be starting more in an entry-level role and then eventually move your way up. So, for example, you could be starting, let's say, as a junior project manager, and then 2 years later, you could progress your career as well in being a lead as well in that area of tech. So throughout the 2 years with us, there's lots of professional learning and training and development that you'll be receiving. And yeah, it's all about just your commitment to that continuous learning as well. And then in terms of like progression, that all comes naturally based on your performance and how proactive you are throughout, especially in the early stages of your technical career.
Awesome. And I do have a question here from the audience. So I'll just pop that up. Not sure who's best to answer, but it's basically the commenter. They're just wondering if it's possible to apply to the FDM program as a remote-based graduate. So I'm guessing, Selena, did you want to answer this one?
Yeah, so it depends on where you are based at the moment. If you're able to type that in the chat function, I can address that directly. But in terms of FDM, we are quite a global company. So we've got offices across North America, across Asia, and mainly in the UK. So if you're in one of those regions, maybe check out the FDM graduate program locally to where you're at. If you're based in Australia, outside of Sydney, we do have quite a hybrid model at the moment wherein our training is completely remote. So once you start the program, you will be doing the training remotely. However, once you start with our clients, majority of our clients are in Sydney and Melbourne, and what we're starting to see is a lot of our clients are encouraging our graduates to return to work. So, for example, if the role that you are successful for is in Sydney, then after the remote training, you would have to relocate to Sydney. And then if it's in Melbourne, likewise, you would have to relocate to Melbourne to complete the remainder of the 2 years of the graduate program with us.
And FDM is also very supportive of relocation, and we provide assistance for that too.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. So that was all the questions I have on my end. I do feel like we covered a bunch, and there was also a lot in the presentation that we went over. So that was really awesome. Did you guys have any final last pieces of advice or comments that you wanted to make? I'll just let you guys do your little outros, and then I'll wrap up today's session. So I'll go to Nina first for this one.
Yeah, I would say if you have any sort of uncertainty or you're unsure, just reach out to someone and talk to them. Like, as Selena mentioned, one of my biggest regrets is at university, I didn't join like any social groups. I didn't go to any events. I just sort of kept my head down, did my own thing. Mind you, it was during COVID, but still I could have attended virtual events if I wasn't comfortable going in person. So I think really push and make that effort to do that, because you don't want to regret your time there. And yeah, reach out to the recruitment team if you have any questions at all. Everyone is very welcoming and they want to help you guys.
Yeah, I would just echo what Nina mentioned. It's really important that you are proactive. I think that's a common theme that a lot of employers are looking for in a graduate, just someone who's very proactive. So get yourself involved while you're at university, and really build up sort of your employer or your branding as well, so that when you start applying for different graduate programs, you have a lot to speak about as well when it comes to your unique experiences. But if you have any questions as well with whatever me and Nina have discussed today, definitely feel free to just connect with us on LinkedIn, and yeah, keep an eye out on the FDM socials, as we do have a lot of upcoming events as well, such as the APAC Tech Week coming up in a few weeks' time.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks so much, guys, for the final pieces of advice. I think today's session has been awesome. You guys have really provided so much great advice and information regarding FDM. So thank you so much for that, and jumping on here on a Thursday. So that was the end of today's session. So for anyone who is watching real time or post-event, if you haven't already, make sure you go and check out those QR codes that FTM provided, a couple minutes ago, and also head to Grad Australia, set up your profile. It's gradaustralia.com.au. Once you set up your profile, you'll get notified of open job opportunities, and you'll also be able to check out the FDM group. So we actually have a really detailed profile on FDM. There's videos just like these. There's also graduate stories. There's articles. You can see different ratings, all that kind of stuff. So it's really helpful, as well as advice articles on, tips for acing the interviews, tips for applying, resume templates, which will definitely help you throughout your FDM application process. So yeah, if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to Prospel2 you can contact us at contact@prospel.com, or just hit us up on the socials. We're always checking those, and make sure you guys stay tuned for our future Career Talk sessions as well. We have them on all kinds of topics. So even if you're in a different industry, there might be ones that suit your friends, like in nursing or pharmacy, engineering, or whatnot. So yeah, that was the end of today's session. And again, thanks so much for tuning in. If you want to watch this video again, just head to our YouTube or FDM's profile on Grad Australia. All right, well, thanks guys for joining, and I'll wrap it up now. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.